incredibly talented, has a very, I don't want to sound angelic because that's not really fair, but just an incredibly well done, just one of the better clean voices I've ever heard. Just crystal clear. And sounds very, in many instances, kind of Dennis DeYoung-ish, like Sixx era. As far as some of his vocals are concerned, and that's fine with me. The guy is incredibly talented. And where does it stop talking vocally? I mean, Theocracy started out as a one-man band. I mean, Matt Smith did the whole thing. And it wasn't until he did Mirror of Souls that he basically formed a band along with him. There's been a couple lineup changes, and then obviously we have As the World Bleeds, which was incredibly good too, with songs like I Am and Master Storyteller, and just some really great tracks on that album as well. So yeah, to your point, I mean, if we did reviews of Mirror of Souls and As the World Bleeds, they both would have been, if not 9.5, maybe 10 out of 10 material for me, and probably for you too, Biv. They're incredibly good and incredibly talented. And you're right. I mean, the venue we saw them at was the weirdest concert venue I've ever been to. It was odd. It was different. There were seats, and it was kind of it was just odd. It was weird, but I'll tell you what. I don't care how big or how small the crowd was. Those guys kicked butt. I mean, they were just incredible. They just had a great sound to them. People were begging him to, or for the band to play Laying the Demon to Rest, which, if you're not familiar with the song, one of the things that impressed me, Biv, and I know you remember this, is, there's a part of, kind of an air raid siren scream that Matt holds for darn near probably 40 seconds in that song on the album. And so people kept saying throughout the show, "Laying the Demon to Rest!" And they didn't rehearse it. They didn't even prepare it, but people kept saying it, sort of like, all right, fine, we'll play it. And
I think part of it was nobody, I think everybody wanted to see, could he really do that opening live?
And he pretty much did. I mean,
he nailed it.
I'm telling you. And to your point, I mean, being a Christian metal band, what I've always been impressed with Theocracy, to your point, is they have the chops to go up against any power metal or any heavy metal band that's out there. Period. Point blank. Matt can sing almost as good, if not better, than almost any singer that's out there as well. Put him up against anybody, Christian metal or not. If you have your own, interpretations or your own beliefs on Christian metal, then go shove it somewhere. Because, I mean, these guys are incredibly good. And I'll also say that, just musically, to your point, what I also found good about it is, unlike a lot of Christian metal, and I like Narnia as well, and we've done Narnia reviews, but, some of their lyric content and a lot of Christian metal is very, hey, check us out, we're Christian, Striper and whatnot, and I'm not knocking it, I'm just saying, for those who may defense mechanism be, Christian metal, don't want to listen to it, Theocracy does such a good job in most instances of having songs of, album or title tracks of songs, or, even just lyrics that are very definitely faith-based and definitely have a story to tell about God or Jesus or just, Bible stories or whatnot, but in a very teachable way and nothing preachy whatsoever. So they've done a really good job of doing that, and that kind of continues on this album as well. So we're looking at Ghost Ship. Again, I wouldn't think Ghost Ship of an album title from a Christian metal band, but that's what you get with this. And so, the album starts out with Paper Tiger, really good track. Sounds like a Theocracy song for me. Very something that if you're an old Theocracy fan, you would hear it for 40 seconds and go, yep, that's Theocracy, definitely there. Ghost Ship, which we just played for you, of the title track as well, rules. I love that song. The chorus is one of just a very cool chorus that I really, really like, and one of my favorite songs on the album. The Wonder of It All, very Laying the Demon to Rest, like, to me. Very Mirror of Souls like vibe on this song, and so you're 3 songs in going, okay, Theocracy continues to write really good stuff. And then it gets a little interesting for me. Wishing Well, which is their first single, I don't really understand why. It's not bad, but it's not nearly as good as the other three I just mentioned. Slower pace to it. It's heavy, but nothing great. And then from there, the album gets really eclectic and weird and not necessarily a good way. Around the World and Back, I'm not sure what's up with this song. And they've done this kind of stuff before where they'll start out, very soft and very like, this doesn't sound like a metal song at all, like The Gift of Music did on As the World Bleeds. But at least The Gift of Music at the end had some redeeming qualities to it. This really doesn't. It's boring and okay, and it's disappointing, to be honest with you. Stir the Embers, quite different. Starts with a very different vocal style that Matt sings in that he usually doesn't sing in. Chorus sounds like Theocracy, but different. Good, but different. And then you have A Call to Arms, which is the next track. Super different in the beginning. Sounds like a very 80s like song, like something you'd hear Rat do at times. Like, you're like, this doesn't sound like Theocracy. Currency in a Bankrupt World, the next track. Another very 80s sounding metal riff. Decent at best, but skippable. Not a song that I would go back and listen to time and time again. And then you come back with Castaway, which is freaking awesome. I mean, it's a thrash song, for God's sake. Very good. One of my favorites on the album. And then the album ends with Easter, which, I just talked about a band being very, Theocracy being very, disguising the theme or the mood or the message in their songs. Easter, I bet you can kind of guess what that's all about. But in typical fashion, though, not as long as Mirror of Souls or As the World Bleeds, which were both, songs that ended the albums previously, which are very epic sounding songs with, 4 or 5 songs into one kind of feel where it goes from slow to fast to really fast to slow to fast to slow to end out the song. That's kind of the same vibe with Easter, but it makes sense. I mean, you're telling the story of Easter, so I get it. You're going to have different moods in different parts of the song. Similar concept there, but, very Theocracy sounding song there. But, so favorites for me, Paper Tiger, Ghost Ship, The Wonder of It All, Castaway and Easter are both good, are all good songs. So 5 really good songs. Stir the Embers is decent, but here's the thing for me that I've never said about another Theocracy album. A Call to Arms, Currency in a Bankrupt World, Wishing Well, and Around the World and Back. Those are 4 songs that are flat out skippable. And I've never said that about a Theocracy album. And so that's, to me, my thoughts on Ghost Ship. Overall, it's good. And I would, this is something that Biv says a lot. And I think it's a good point to say. And you've challenged me on this, Biv, so I will challenge you back. By the way, my score overall on the album is 7.5 out of 10. I would challenge you back, Biv, with this. You've challenged me sometimes on a review of going, okay, but you're a fan of insert band. Is this the kind of album that if you'd never heard these guys before and you didn't have the expectation you had, would you walk away saying, that's a really good album? And I think in your instance, Biv, I'm curious your thoughts because I think you may fall prey to this one. Into where this is a band you love big time, one of your favorite bands, and this is no BS.
Well, we met Matt and talked to him. I mean, that's how few people that were at that venue. We got to know them.
Sure.
You know what I
mean? So my question is,
so,
because of the expectation, and do you agree with me that if we had a podcast at the time, would you have rated Mirror of Souls and As the World Bleeds 10 out of 10?
Mirror of Souls, yes.
Okay.
As the World Bleeds, probably an 8.5 or a 9.
Really? See, I think they're both just as good. So I would have rated probably both perfect scores, honestly. So with that in mind, are you going to be guilty of being a fanboy on this one? I don't know. Let's find out. Biv, what did you think of Ghost Ship from Theocracy?
I will tell you, of any CD we've done a review on since the very first episode, this was the toughest one for me to do.
I bet.
In terms of finally settling on a score. Because, to your point, I had very high expectations, as I do with any band that I'm in love with like this. And like I said, we saw them at a very small venue. We got to talk to the band, particularly Matt. this is a band that I truly love and I have a lot of respect for. Factor in also, it's been 6 years since the last CD. So they've had 6 years to work on this new material. So when the very first single came out, Wishing Well, I believe it was.
Yep.
Am I right on that? Okay.
Yeah, it was.
I thought so. I remember right away, I went on a rant on Facebook about it. Like, this is what we get after 6 years. This is what I get. I get this. And I still feel that way about this song. Then I think Ghost Ship was released.
Yes.
Now, this is all before the actual CD was released. Ghost Ship, I think it was a lyric video. And I was like, oh, okay, all right. Now I think they've, no pun intended, I think they're riding the ship with this one. And so I was then very curious about the CD coming out. So when I heard it, Paper Tiger took a little bit of growing on me, but I do like it. Ghost Ship is phenomenal. I do not like The Wonder of It All at all.
Really?
No.
Wow.
To me, that's like a B-side that never should have made the album.
Oh, wow. I disagree, but that's okay.
Wishing Well is garbage.
Oh, man.
Absolute garbage. That shouldn't even have ever been made, much less ended up on the cutting room floor. Around the World and Back is weird.
It is, isn't it?
It's just bizarre. Stir the Embers could kind of live without all the way around. Call to Arms, I liked.
Really?
So I guess we kind of flip-flopped on, you liked The Wonder of It All, I didn't. I liked Call to Arms, you didn't. The last three songs, Currency in a Bankrupt World, Castaway, and Easter, they were okay. Nothing phenomenal, nothing horrible. So I've listened to this CD, I don't even know, 8-10 times probably, hoping, and I'm sure you've been there, where you want to love the CD so bad, kind of like you are with Opeth, or with Circus Maximus. You want to love it so bad that you're willing to almost do anything to talk yourself into liking it.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
And so then I asked myself the very same question you just challenged me to, because I challenge it to you all the time. If I didn't know anything about him, I'd never heard him, I picked up this CD, what would I honestly think? And that's what the last 2 times I listened to it, that's what I went in thinking. I cleared my mind of As the World Bleeds, of the Theocracy album, the original one with Matt Smith, of Mirror Souls, and just said, okay. Picked it up for $13.99 at the local record store, brought it home, listened to it, didn't know anything about him. What would I think? And I would think there's 3 or 4 really good songs on there, and I think the rest is anywhere from to dumpster fire. And so, to me, 6 out of 10.
Wow, interesting. And you know what? It's funny. Let's credibility time here. Did your score change between now and recording this when you first started listening to it?
Well, I don't know that I had a score in mind.
I was all over the place. When the first 3 songs, I'm like, dude, hell yes, this is gonna rule. You know what I mean? Because I'm listening to it in the order that the album is. And I'm going, sure. Oh, dude, this is going to be, oh, man, I can't wait to do a review on this. And then it started coming apart. And then I was 8 out of 10, and then 7 out of 10. And then I kind of settled on 7.5, because that's kind of where I fell.
I will say this. If you're not familiar with Theocracy, you need to be, but don't start with this album.
Oh, that's fair. I would agree with that.
Don't do that. Start with Mirror Souls. Maybe progress to As the World Bleeds, then go to the reissue of the original Theocracy CD, which was remixed, I think in 2013, if I'm not mistaken. And it does sound a lot better than the original issue, because originally it was done on, it was